What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, football fans of all ages? Welcome back into another episode of Boys Talking Ball. We're the boys. I'm Mitchell, and that's Bryce. Let's dive right in.
We talking ball today, baby.
We have our own stuff to talk about today. A lot of good things happened yesterday in the NFL, some not so good things. Rants off rip, man. What happened to the Bucs?
We had a hard-fought game against a practically full-strength 49ers team minus Ayuk, who's out for the season, but they had most of their players back, Christian McCaffrey, and I think we did a really good job of limiting him. Obviously, Coach came out and said, I don't know if you were watching the game, but he was talking about how he's limiting McCaffrey because of how hot it was in Tampa and just didn't want anything bad to happen. So to our luck, he wasn't like 100% like being used yet, but it still ended up being a game that our team lost, man. Our defense didn't look very good. Offense run game looked great. And I think that passing game that we've been talking about of like, man, no receivers, it's catching up to us. It really is hard out in these streets. After a couple of weeks of no Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, teams are knowing who to cover now and who to double. And it looked rough, but we rallied late. We were having a rough first half, and then second half we came out and we started playing a lot better. Unfortunately, we couldn't do much, even with luck on our side, dude. Like Jake Moody, he missed 3 field goals, dude, and we still lost. It was a tough game. It definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. It was a game we could have won. Had our defensive play calling been a little more strict and a little bit more aggressive, I think we come out of that game with a monstrous win. I honestly wasn't really impressed with the 49ers at all, especially against a defense like our own. It still ended in a loss no matter what. They got the win. So we're heading into a bye week. Tristan Wirfs got injured.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I mean, the news as of today is it's an MCL sprain, and he's going to be out a few weeks. So that's the best news to hear. I don't know if you saw the injury, but it looked like it was kind of reminiscent of like the knee bending, like a Nick Chubb. Like, yeah, you don't want that knee to bend that way. It did, but praise God, like it was nothing too serious, and he should be out just a little bit of time. I'm excited personally. We talked about it last week. From this point forward, it is a cupcake schedule. I mean, we are playing some of the worst opponents in football, and our team is going to be somewhat more healthy coming out of the bye. Mike Evans will be back. Wirfs will probably still be out, but we'll get him back in a couple weeks. And D-line's looking a lot better. It looked like our D-line was playing pretty good. We got some sacks on Brock, and there were times when we looked super aggressive, super good. And then there's times where like, I don't know if you saw that George Kittle touchdown, but our D-line, it looked like it just gave up. I was sitting there like, hello, finally Vita Vea breaks free, but a little bit too late. Put some pressure on him, but it didn't matter.
Are you talking about the one at the end of the game?
Towards the end of the game, yeah. I was in the corner of the end zone. George Kittle.
Yeah. It's a long time to rush the quarterback. He was kind of running around for probably 10 seconds or more back there.
Yeah, he had way too much time, and it's too much time for a corner to have to play man-to-man on someone of George Kittle's caliber.
Right.
So that play was like a broken play, right? You hate to see it. And overall, like I've had time to calm down since Sunday. And honestly, just excited. Like I'm actually so thankful our bye week has hit. I think we're the most injured team in the league. Like I could be mistaken, but I wouldn't be surprised come to find out if we are the team with the most starters injured in the league. Cause we just have so many guys who are banged up, and it's catching up to us, dude. We're 4-6. We got a really easy schedule. If we win out, like, which I know isn't possible necessarily, that's wishful thinking. If we do win out, we could go 11-6. I doubt we will. We kind of have to at this point. Every game's a must win from here on out. Baker's playing great. Baker is playing good for what he has. That stiff arm on Joey Bosa to extend on the 4th and 7, the pass to Rachaad White, that might be like play of the year, at least for our team. Of someone like Nick Bosa to stiff arm him for like 5 yards and then that was crazy. If you haven't seen that clip, you guys got to go watch it. But that's my rant off the rip. I'm actually pretty calm and cool and collected this time around, much more than last week.
I'm impressed, man, because it's 4 straight losses now for the Bucs. It's such a weird stat line. Like I'm looking at the box score here. I see Baker Mayfield with 18 completions on 29 attempts, 116 yards and a touchdown. Like it's fine. It's definitely not what we've come to know from him, at least this year. Obviously, and this is kind of what I was alluding to last week with my prediction on this game, is that it's hard to sustain incredible numbers when you have the injuries like they have to some of the top guys. And I think that's evident when you look at the box score. And again, stats don't tell the whole story, but if I were just to look at the box score and hadn't watched the game at all, I would assume that the 49ers rolled. Brock Purdy, 25 of 36, 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a solid day. Now, you did kind of bottle them up on the ground. They were not able to get anything going from a rushing standpoint. McCaffrey,
Yep.
13 carries, 39 yards was their best on the ground. So there was that, and that's definitely a bright spot. But then I look at the receiving yards for the 49ers compared to the Buccaneers. I mean, your top receiver was a running back, Rashad White, 6 catches, 39 yards. K-Dot 5 catches, 35 yards. It's obvious. You guys are hurt and injured, and you fought like you have every single game. And no matter what Baker looks like, he's going to keep his team in the game. I feel like he's gritty that way. We knew him to be that in Cleveland, and he's been that really everywhere he's gone. And that's what you like about him if he plays for your team. But, it wasn't able to get it done today. It was a tough loss, and he did everything he could. That play you're talking about is incredible. I think I texted you as soon as I saw it. I was like, man.
Everybody was blowing me up, bro. Like, Baker. Cool. I was like, he's a dog. And to your point, man, like, our rush defense is not the problem. You said it last week. It's our pass defense, and that's why Brock Purdy looked like prime Joe Montana against us. So
yeah, the bright spot, obviously, like you said, the schedule from here on out is really nice. Fortunately for the Buccaneers, y'all play in a division that is winnable even still. When you talk about right now, the Falcons are leading that division at 6-4. So to me, the season is still very much alive for the Bucs. Let's look ahead at some of the upcoming games that you have. Obviously, you have the bye week this weekend, but then following that, you're at Giants, at Carolina, home against the Raiders, and at the Chargers, at Cowboys, home against the Panthers, and home against the Saints. So, dude, I mean, I look at that. You're talking about winning out. Even let's say if you, at worst, go 5-2 over the next 7, to me, you're sitting at 10-7. That could win the NFC South. That could win that division. And it's unfortunate that you've already dropped 2 to the Falcons, but if the rest of the season goes for the Falcons like we all have kind of thought it would go this entire year, it's just a massive inconsistent situation. Like, the Falcons are one of the more inconsistent teams in the league, and I don't know. If I'm a Bucs fan today, I have hope. Obviously, it's tough. Like, you're looking at a 4-game losing streak. You're looking at games you probably could have won. You're looking at the injuries. You're looking at the losses to the Falcons. There's a lot to overcome, but it's not impossible. If you had one of the harder schedules, or even like an average schedule as far as difficulty is concerned moving forward, I'd be concerned. But it's certainly not impossible. If you play the way you're supposed to play and you don't drop games you're not supposed to, I could see, I would stop short of betting that you guys will make the playoffs, but I could see that you would definitely be in the mix towards the end of the season.
Again, I'm looking at, like, it's kind of like it's like we're in a race, and it's like, okay, well, if we could slow the Falcons down, or if the Falcons kind of trip and fall before their bye week or after their bye week, do we make a late playoff run? With how banged up we are, probably not. I'd love to make it to the playoffs. Like, I'm not in the boat of like a Giants fan right now where I'm hoping my team tanks to get a good pick. I don't think we're in that situation. We're kind of a team that wants to win right now. And we have the players. Like, Baker solidified himself, I think, last week, even with the loss, as like, dude, this is our franchise guy. Like, he is going to fight tooth and nail to win these games. I think the entire fan base loves Baker. Todd Bowles, that's a different story. We kind of we're feeling like we want this guy out of there. But like, yeah, to your point, for the most part, it does look like with our schedule compared to like a Falcons schedule, it looks like we can actually come out on top.
Yeah. Only time will tell, man. Don't wear all black yet on the Bucs. Good things coming. We don't need to have a funeral in Tampa just yet. Let's hold off on that for a second. I feel like this is going to be a repeat on my rant off rip, talking about the Browns. Well, they were on a bye week, and let me tell you, they barely squeaked out a win over the bye week.
Okay, bro.
It was a tough matchup, honestly. But we came out on top. I can't even say with a W. Our record's still the same. It is what it is, man. The bye week came and went for the Browns. The news in Cleveland is just not about the Browns right now, sadly. We have an 11-0 Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team. We're still flying high from the Guardians postseason run that they made. So the focus isn't on the Browns, sadly, because it's a football town. And when that team is good, the buzz is incredible. When the team is not good, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, you want to stay off Twitter, unfortunately. But Looking ahead to the draft order, this is the updated NFL
Okay.
draft order as of
It's crazy.
this
Hold on.
weekend's
Can we
game.
just take a moment? It's mid-season, dude. You just had your bye week and you're talking about your draft order. That is crazy to me.
We're 2-7. We
Okay.
don't have a quarterback that's effective. And we play the second hardest schedule or the hardest schedule remaining. I don't have a ton of hope. No, I don't. It's unfortunate. I wish we weren't in this spot, but it just is what it is. And if I allow my fandom and passion to rise to an uncontrollable level, I'll just be a miserable human being, and my wife wouldn't want that.
Yeah, I feel like prior to Kristen, you would have been a miserable person.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's tough. But sadly, this is the reality in Cleveland. I'm looking ahead at the draft order, and whether or not I can't bring myself to look ahead to this next Browns game and get excited and find things to talk about and build hope. The hope is what gets me, man. If I hope that we win and then we don't, that is what makes me upset. If I don't have hope for the season and we lose, well, I was kind of expecting that. If we win, wow, what a nice surprise. So I've decided for the rest of the 2024 year, no more hope for this team. And I don't mean that we're not going to win another game. I just mean that I am not putting any more emotion and passion and hope into this season at that level. I will still watch. I will still be a devoted fan. I'm not going to not watch the game. I'm still going to turn off my phone until I can watch the game so nobody can ruin the score for me like I always do.
So you're going to record it again, even though your season's over?
I always do. Every year.
That's crazy.
Every year. For those that aren't aware, I'm typically not somebody that's able to watch the game live. So I have NFL Plus and I run it back when I get home. But I turn off my phone, no texts, no notifications. I'm dead to the world for probably 3-4 hours until I can watch.
Can anyone get through to you if they needed you?
Not a single person.
Okay.
Not even my wife. Isn't that crazy?
I'm unreachable. That's crazy.
Typically, I'm with her, so I think if she needed me, she would know where to find me. All right, let's move on to some news and reactions around the league. This first one right here is going to need some time, I think. And so
it's still in
our next segment, rapid reactions, the top bullet point we have is that Jared Goff rallies the Lions past the Texans. Lions beating the Texans with a game-winning field goal as time expired. What were your thoughts from the game on Sunday night, Bryce?
So I was sending Mitchell a up-to-date text message every single time Jared Goff threw an interception on Sunday. Obviously, my take last week is that Jared Goff is not top 10, which, by the way, on social media, via text, I have people blowing me up, outraged of my take, thinking that was just the dumbest thing ever. And okay, I will admit I lost the debate with you in the moment. But then comes Sunday, and this dude is stinking it up. And you say Jared Goff rallies the Lions. What I would like to say is that Jake Bates is the reason they won that game. That man made 2 long 50-plus yard field goals to literally win them the game. On top of that, the Lions got away with a huge break on a no-call PI late in the game on the Texans' last drive, and then they go in and win it with a field goal. I mean, how much of that? My question to you, with a 59.7 QBR, how much of that was Jared Goff's doing versus just like the rest of the team picking up his slack?
All right. I've been waiting for this since Sunday night. And what did I tell you? I said, you better not come to the pod with one simple stat, right? And I think we all know what we're talking about, the 5 interceptions that Goff threw over the course of 3 quarters, I will say. I'm not running from it, man. Jared Goff had a bad game. He didn't look good for 45 minutes of that game. I have his stats in front of me here. He went 15 of 30, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a 59.7 QBR. Let's go through the interceptions because I did this as well. The first one was a tip pass. So he's trying to throw the ball out to the flat and the ball gets tipped and picked. The second one, a strip sack interception. Not necessarily a bad read. He's not throwing it into traffic. He didn't make a wildly errant throw. He gets hit, the ball pops out, and somebody from the defense picks it off. Okay. Not running from the fact that it goes down as an INT. I'm just telling you that not all INTs are the same. All right.
Sure.
The third one, the INT on the Hail Mary at the end of the half. Dude is literally throwing it as high and as far as he can.
Bad throw.
And hoping that one of his guys comes down with it. Still goes down as an INT on the record. What I'm here to tell you is that not all INTs are the same. The fourth interception, he throws a ball to Sam Laporta, and I don't know what happened. It looks like he wasn't even looking. It almost looked like he wasn't expecting to get the ball thrown to him. So he doesn't make any effort to catch it. Could he have caught it? It's debatable. It wasn't right on his chest, right? I mean, it was, I want to say it was maybe, I don't know. It was a little bit above him. I couldn't tell if it was behind him or whatever. Looked like he could have made a play on the ball. Regardless, he didn't. The ball sails over Laporta's head right into the waiting arms of the Texans defender. That's the fourth pick. The fifth pick in the third quarter toward the end, an interception on a bad deep ball. He just tries to go down the left side of the field, misses the receiver completely, I want to say to the inside, and the ball gets picked off. I look at those terrible throw. I look at those 5 interceptions. Okay, 5 interceptions is not a good look, right? Most of those are not decision-related errors on the quarterback's part. That is the facts. When you look back at each one, those are not decision-related errors. Now, there was, I think, the first one where it got tipped. Okay. Hadn't it got tipped, he might have hit his receiver perfectly. I don't know. He threw it. It got tipped, whatever. The last one was a bad ball. Those are decision-related. The 3 in the middle, the strip sack, the one on the Hail Mary, and the one to Laporta, to me, not bad decisions. Let's look at the other side of the ball in C.J. Stroud's game last night. 19 of 33, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a fumble lost, and a 64.2 quarterback rating. This is a guy, by the way, that was on your top 10 list.
I didn't think you'd be coming for him during this. You did not warn me about that.
No,
I was not prepared.
I didn't warn you about anything. All I said was you better have more than one stat for this argument. Bro, I was awake till the wee hours of Monday morning researching some statistics on Jared Goff. Brother, I'm ready. Both of those interceptions, just go back and look. You don't have to take my word for it. Bad throws, bad quarterback reads. They were not good throws. So arguably, Jared Goff throws 2 interceptions that are bad reads. CJ Stroud throws 2 interceptions that are bad reads. The other 3 interceptions, fluke plays. It is what it is. He goes down with 5, okay? I get it. It does not change my mind as to whether or not Jared Goff belongs in a top 10 quarterback conversation in this league. And here's why. You cannot win in the NFL in spite of your quarterback. You cannot win in spite of your quarterback. Now, you can lose because of your quarterback, but you can't win in spite of them. You need a successful quarterback, a player that can manage the game at that position if you're going to have success in this league. Tell me the last team you can remember that's had any sort of memorable success in the NFL that's been led by a quarterback that's incompetent. Can't do it.
I
wait.
Debate a couple.
I'll wait. Tell me. This is the time.
Are we going to consider the system they're in?
Look, you cannot win in this league with a bad quarterback.
All right. I won't argue it for now. I'll let you finish your point.
Okay.
Keep going.
That's fine. If you're only going to look at 2 stats, touchdowns and interceptions, I would argue that you are not looking deep enough. You're not watching the game close enough. You're not seeing the whole picture. I want to talk a little bit about QBR. Quarterback rating. It's created by ESPN, which I actually learned. I didn't know that they had proprietary ownership over this, but they created this stat. And the purpose of the stat is to measure a quarterback's overall performance in a game. It takes into considerations a lot of data points and a lot of factors and tries to give an accurate understanding of, if you can look at this number, you can figure out whether or not this quarterback was successful in helping their team win or they played poorly and potentially cost their team the game. When you're looking at QBR, the highest quarterback rating that you can get, NFL or college, is 158.3. 158.3 is the highest. Obviously, 0 is the lowest. Not a whole lot of guys approaching 0 these days. You'd have to play on another level of bad to receive a 0. If you had to guess, and I want to paint a picture for the listeners, because you're like, okay, 158.3 is perfect. 0 is the worst you could possibly be. Right. What is average? If I look at a number and I see this number, how do I know whether or not that's good or that's bad for a quarterback?
Sure.
Let me just give you some context around this. So the average passer rating in 2024 in the NFL as it stands right now is 93.5. That to me says that if you're above a 100, you played an exceptionally good game.
Sure.
If you're anywhere from 60 to 100, anywhere in that range, you probably played average to below average. I would say probably 90 to 100 is also good. Anywhere from 60 to 90, probably average to below average. If you're below 60, really not good, right? We know
Right. Yeah.
that was a poor performance by the quarterback. I want to look at some of the worst games this season by quarterbacks that were in your top 10 list. Okay? And I've compiled these stats, and I just want to go through them and just have a look. These are guys. Now, again, let me remind you, if you're only going to look at the touchdown number and the interception number, you're probably not going to, I'm just telling you now, you're not going to hear any of these games and be like, that was worse than Jared Goff's game, okay? These are some of the games from some of Bryce's top 10 quarterbacks that they've had this season. I'm not talking about years in the past. I'm talking about this season. We already mentioned CJ Stroud's game on Sunday against Detroit, obviously. The 64.2 QBR, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble lost. Earlier this season at Minnesota, CJ Stroud, 20 of 31, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a 68 QBR. Let's move on to one Pat Mahomes, somebody considered the best quarterback ever to play. And I'm with you. He's in the top 10 conversation. Obviously, he is.
Has to be. But
he's definitely in there.
Yeah.
But even him, everybody's human and has a bad game. Patrick Mahomes at San Francisco this season, 16 of 27, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 44.4 QBR. If you're going to look at one game, if you're going to look at one set of stats and judge a quarterback's entire season-long production, I think you're missing the point. Moving on to Josh Allen at Indianapolis just this past weekend. 22 of 37, 282 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 60.6 quarterback rating. Somehow they win the game 30-20. I don't know how that even happened. Great defensive performance.
Right.
But a guy that we could both agree is likely in the top 3 of quarterbacks that we have in this league with a bad day statistically. Kirk Cousins, who you did name and I disagreed with, don't think he's in the top 10, but for purposes of this fun little segment, I'm going to give you a couple of Kirk Cousins games, both at home in Atlanta. The first against Pittsburgh opening weekend, 16 of 26, 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 59 quarterback rating. Against Seattle in Atlanta later in the year, 24 of 35, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a fumble lost, 72.6 QBR. Let's move on to Sam Darnold. This is a guy that you argued with me. You said, look at the Vikings record. Sam Darnold belongs in the top 10. Sam Darnold at Jacksonville this past weekend, 24 of 38, 242 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 48.2 QBR. Against the Jets earlier this year, Sam Darnold, 14 of 31, 179 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 fumble lost, 50.3 QBR. Finally, if that's not enough, let me give you one more game from your boy
just
Aaron
pile
Rodgers.
it on, please.
Your boy Aaron Rodgers earlier.
You ain't got to tell me much about A-Rod because I think he's cheeks and washed. That was a very hot take from like week 1, but
Then
I
you
had
him in your
Go ahead. My turn to speak will be soon. I cannot wait.
So at Minnesota, Aaron Rodgers goes 29 of 54, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 54.9 QBR. You have to look at totality. If I look at totality of the work that's been done by these quarterbacks this season, you cannot ignore the fact that Jared Goff, while yes, he had a bad game on Sunday, there was another game earlier in the year that you mentioned. It was against the Bucs. Their only loss. Didn't play well. That team is sitting at 8-1 right now. And might I remind you, they won the game. And if you watch the whole game on Sunday night, they don't win that game without some of his fourth quarter throws. And so when the headline reads Jared Goff rallies the Lions past the Texans, I don't think that can be ignored. This guy belongs in the top 10 quarterbacks in this league.
It's my turn.
Go for it.
I was my Skip Bayless impression. Listen, okay. When I came on today, it was not my goal to sit here and be like, Jared Goff is not a top 10 quarterback in this league as of today. It was last week, and by all means, I tried it. But here's what I wanted to tell you.
Tell me.
I don't think, and I think you can agree with this, it wasn't a comparison between him and CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud didn't have a good game on Sunday. What I wanted to share was that Jared Goff did not have a top 10 performance on Sunday. And I agree that I think you can agree with that, right? Before we move any further, he did not have a top 10 quarterback performance Sunday. Correct?
Correct.
Great. We could both agree on that. And I think that's where I came in today and I was like, okay, that's all I really got is he was not top 10 on Sunday. But here's where I'll agree with you. And I think we could put this conversation to rest and agree to disagree on a different number of things. But number one, you are correct. In the fourth quarter, the touchdown throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What was the name?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dude, you cannot make fun of me because I have a speech impediment. Okay, that is against the rules. The touchdown throw to him, that drive alone is what distinctively, in my opinion, won them the game. Like, of course, came in talking about the kicker, and I was like, yeah, dude, he's the one who made some really hard kicks, and he did. And they won because of those 6 points. But that touchdown was super important, and I'm not going to argue that. That was a great drive by Jared Goff. He did what he needed to do to put his team in position to win. And I'm not even talking about the drives where he got them in field goal range. So I agree with you. I think that at the end of the day, Jared Goff pulled it together and he did get them to win that game as a team. So for the Texans to lose that game, they shot themselves in the foot, and CJ Stroud didn't play great. And you're right. I do agree. Jared Goff did rally that team. They did go in and win. And I think that Jared Goff right now, if you look at all the QBRs, if you look at all the past weeks, he is top 10. I agree with you.
Thank you, Bryce Young. Clip that right there. We need to remember that moment. Amazing. Well, I had other things to say, but you didn't really put up much of an argument, so I'm not going to share.
I couldn't, man. I came in prepared today. Like when you were like, you better have more, I went back and looked. This man has had an incredible season. I can't lie. So go Jared Goff. He's top 10, baby. He's low key top 5. I'm not even gonna cap. But here's what I'll say though. This is outrageous. This is an overreaction. I think Baker Mayfield's top 3, and it ain't 2 or 3. All right. Anyways, next up on our hot topic.
No. Hang on. Before we move forward, I just want to show this. Obviously, the listeners aren't going to be able to see it, but for anyone that maybe catches our content on social media, every time Jared Goff threw an interception last night, I got a text from Bryce.
What'd it say?
It said, what I say. It said, what I say times 2, what I say times 3. And you could imagine what the other two said.
Facts.
And all I said was see you on the pod. Hey, that was a fun one. Look, I'm interested to see what happens with this Lions team. I've been high on them since we started the pod. I've been high on them all year. They're 8-1. They're winning despite having poor performances by key players. Not trying to argue that Jared Goff is a top 3 or even top 5 quarterback. But again, I think he is definitely top 10 talent and has the ability and the possibility of leading that team to a Super Bowl this season. Let's move on. Give us the next one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stand up for this one.
Oh,
Jamar Chase, legacy game, loading, predestined, happened, absolute dominance, and still took an L. How do you score 3 touchdowns, 250 plus receiving yards, and your team still loses?
No. So go get his exact stats real quick while I say this. And again, I'm not trying to put you down, bro. But what I am going to say is, if you want your takes to mean something on this show, you can't say them every week. You can't make the same prediction every single week, and then the one week it does come true, consider yourself a savant or something.
I actually never made that prediction until last episode.
That's completely false.
Go to the first episode. I didn't say no Jamar Chase legacy game.
No, but I have text receipts to prove it.
But that's not on the pod. You keep what's on the pod in the pod, big guy.
All right.
Anyways,
understood.
His exact stats were 17 targets, 11 receptions, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns with a long of 70. Fun fact, I texted Mitchell right before that pass. I said, deep bomb to Jamar incoming, and then literally deep ball to Jamar touchdown. I couldn't believe it. I was running around my house giddy like a schoolgirl.
You definitely did call that, and it shocked me, honestly. But man, how bad is the Ravens secondary? I'm concerned about this Ravens team moving forward. They're going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to be a top 2 seed in the AFC, which is not that strong. They're likely going to win a couple playoff games, but this is going to bite them in the butt, man. I don't think that you can win a Super Bowl with this type of defensive play from your backfield.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think had the Bengals not gone for 2, tied it up, went to overtime, and got the ball, I don't even think the Ravens see the field. Jamar Chase was just unstoppable. And not to mention, I think an unsung hero for that Bengals offense, at least when they play the Ravens, is Chase Brown. That guy is really good. Whenever he plays the Ravens, he has a great game too. So I don't even know if the Ravens see the field in overtime. If that goes to that point, I think they just wanted to seal it away late night, wanted to get the win, ended up, risk it or biscuit, and they didn't get anything out of it. But I agree with you, man. How long, like if they do make it to the playoffs and they play one of these elite caliber teams with great offenses and decent defenses, like if that somehow they can, because the Bengals did it, like believe it or not, Derrick Henry didn't have a very good night. And if you could stop Derrick Henry and you make Lamar a bit 1 or 2 dimensional, which is crazy to say, if you make a quarterback 2 dimensional, you can win. That's how good Lamar is. But if you can put him in a place where like he doesn't have a million options, you actually put yourself in a really winnable situation. And I think if people can figure out the Ravens offensively, their defense is too bad. It's very telling. Like I'm with you. I think that last week I said this will be a statement game if the Ravens can win, but by the way they won, it wasn't a statement game. Matter of fact, I think a lot of fans walked away feeling like, oh shoot, like this team don't look that good. Definitely not as good as we thought they were.
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I think all Ravens fans would agree too. They're not happy with the way the defense is performing. They're not happy with Zach Orr, the guy that's calling the shots over there on the defensive side. It's interesting when we talk about the Lions a lot and their kind of formula. A quarterback that's solid and consistent and good, but not amazing or great. They're not necessarily winning a ton of games because of Jared Goff, but he's good enough to where they're not losing games because of him. And then you have the pieces around him that are obviously exceptional and propel that team to a lot of wins. Whereas you look in Baltimore, they have holes, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball. They have some deficiencies, but the quarterback play is so good that they can overcome some of those things to still win a lot of games. And that's where you look at Lamar Jackson as being, to me, the front runner for MVP of the league this year. And he's really morphed into an efficient NFL passer. I used to give my brother crap all the time about Lamar Jackson's inability to be a good pocket passer. And this take was from years ago, earlier on in Lamar's career, but he didn't look like a good pocket passer then. Obviously, he's matured. He's changed. His game is different now. And he looks elite passing the ball. Obviously, he's still elite outside of the pocket. And when he decides to take off and run, this guy is a weapon. Now, can he continue to win despite this defense? Only time will tell. I think against teams right now that they're going to be going up against that aren't necessarily cream of the crop, the Bengals are a good team this year. I don't know that anybody is considering them an elite team this year, at least not yet. They have a lot of work to do. They're still trying to climb out of that 1-4 hole. So I don't know. I mean, they're able to get by right now, but again, when you come up against some of the AFC's better teams in the playoffs, or even let's say they make a Super Bowl run and they're going up against the NFC's top contenders.
Yeah.
Is Lamar Jackson's talent and ability going to be enough to do it? I don't know. I think when you're just considering the outcome of one game, you really need a full team performance. And is this defense capable of executing that? I just don't know. Time will tell. They've got some quality pieces on that side of the ball, but man, when you're last in pass defense, that's a telling stat to me. And I'm not sure that they'll be able to overcome it when it comes to winning a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. I mean, if your pass defense is ranked lower or worse than the Bucs pass defense, then your pass defense must be really, 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 really bad.
Are they bottom two? Bottom two?
I actually don't know where we're ranked. And to be honest, I should, but I can't look. I don't want to know what it is. Don't tell me either. I want to stay ignorant to it.
Hang on. Let me just tell you this. PFF has Baltimore graded at 57.9 in coverage defense. if I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, PFF has them graded at 62.3. So in the same realm. Surprisingly,
Yeah,
the 57.9 grade for Baltimore is not the worst in the league. I know that some people feel a certain way about PFF's
sure.
rankings and grades.
You're biased though.
I'm obviously biased as an employee. But look, I don't think it's any secret to anybody watching football that the Ravens don't have a good pass defense. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what happens. Obviously, again, they continue to win in spite of that. Will that trend continue moving forward? We'll see. Let's move on to our final rapid reaction of the day. The Chiefs staying unbeaten at home, blocking a game-winning field goal, man. That's crazy.
Dude,
That's a
did you
crazy way to win.
it's absolutely bonkers.
I know what you're going to ask me.
You don't.
I do.
What am I gonna ask you?
You're going to ask me if I heard what Patrick Mahomes said to the referee.
This cheating mother. Come on, man. This guy literally. Come on, ref. Come on. Tell me when he's close, man. Dude, are you kidding me? Hey, someone look
Do we
into
know?
it, bro.
Okay, because hey, again, I would hope that the boys here at Boys Talking Ball would rise above the rest when it comes to falling victim to clickbait. Do we know
Right.
for sure the context of what he was saying? Was there anything, was he asked about it in his post-game interview? Was there anything that came out after the fact that gave more context, shed a little more light on what he was actually saying and to who?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anything else has come out. I think we all just saw the big boom of
Right.
like, hey, this is what was said. And like, we don't play football at a pro level. We genuinely don't know how much the refs actually speak to these players, what they usually say. Maybe Pat was asking, like, I also, to your point, want to think the best. Like, why not assume the best? I mean, I know it's easy to hate on the Chiefs. It's easy to be a hater and be like, hey, this team's 9-0 and they're cheating and it's fixed for them. Listen, last week, y'all heard how heated I was. So when I say this, please understand it's coming from a person who really hates playing the Chiefs. I don't think they're cheating. I don't think he was trying to get help from the ref. Who really knows like the intricacies of that play and
Right.
what happened? We don't know. Maybe as he was walking away, somebody smacked the ball out of his hand. He's like, hey, let me know when he's coming behind me. Like he just smacked the ball out of my hand. Like
Right.
we don't know really what happened. The camera went off. And again, are we anti-conspiracy theorists because we're like, oh, we're just assuming the best. Like it could have been anything. I
Right.
personally like that approach because I don't want to think that the sport I love and care about is some fake, like fixed sport. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. I'm with you. I tell my wife that all the time. Like I refuse to believe in a conspiracy theory solely because I love this sport so much and that would ruin it for me completely.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna believe in that. And I don't. And look, I know what he said, but I don't know the full context of what he said. I don't know who he was asking. I don't know what he was asking about. I don't want to look too much into that. It's easy, obviously, to take a 5-second clip, put it on social media, and watch the world burn, right? Because that's what happened with that clip. And everybody's freaking out about, the Chiefs getting help from the refs or whatever. The Chiefs are the best team in football, man. It's just
They
the
just find a
facts.
way to win, dude.
They
It's
just
so
find a way to
annoying.
win. I will prop the Broncos here. They're set at 5-5. Look, the spread I think on this game was 7. I said
Yeah.
last week that no matter what the spread was, I would pick the Chiefs in this game because I just felt they had the better team with better players. I think you had kind of predicted it to be closer. Good thing we don't pick against the spread. We both picked the Chiefs. But
Yeah.
man, the Broncos hung with them. Now, I still don't know what to make of the Broncos because I still don't know if they can consistently hang on the offensive side of the ball with teams, but that defense is legit.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, talk about we got to put some respect on the Broncos in the sense of they're playing in a really difficult division and they're playing with some of the biggest dogs out there and their defense is playing great. Their offense could use some work, but even Cortland Sutton, like, it took him a few weeks to him and Bo to get on the same page, but they look good together. And, like
Yeah.
maybe they're a team in the next draft that's a running for Ashton GNT, like, because they're like a couple pieces away from being some serious players. And again, I was talking about head coaches last week. Kind of like my thing last week was head coaches. And
It really
I
was.
think I hate Sean Payton, by the way, but I think he's a good head coach. Like he definitely knows ball. And so that team, I think, is very Sean Payton-esque. Reminds me a lot of the Saints. I'm watching them. I'm like, This reminds me of the Saints defense. This reminds me of how like the Saints offense ran things. Like it's very, I don't really know how else to explain it. So I personally, like I said last week, was very adamant about how I think the Broncos are going to put up a good fight defensively. First of all, the Chiefs offense hasn't been looking very good, but they're still winning games. On top of that, the Broncos have a great defense. So I knew that was going to be a crazy game. And the Broncos were winning the entire game up until that very last second. So like, that's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Look, at the end of the day, you said it. The Chiefs continue to find a way to win. They do it this week, and we'll see how long this undefeated streak goes. They definitely don't look like the Chiefs of old as far as blowing teams out, scoring a ton of points. They don't look like that team this year, but they're still 9-0 in the most important stat there is in football, and that's wins and losses. And so until somebody takes them down, man, Chiefs are still rolling. We'll see what happens.
You think they go undefeated, realistically?
Nope. Now, if this is a Chiefs team of 2 years ago or even last year, yeah, we could have that conversation because they were prolific on offense. They just don't look like that team this year offensively.
Yeah.
Defensively, they've been playing great, but they're not scoring a ton of points. So I don't know. I mean, I don't see it happening. It's rare for any team to go undefeated in the NFL. That's how good the league is. And I don't think that it'll happen this year. Not to say it couldn't. If there's any team that could do it, how would it be for Patrick Mahomes to add that to his trophy case? Undefeated
They're also
season.
the only team that could do it if there were a team to do it this year.
Agreed. So. That is the team. Factually, statistically, literally, they're the only team that could do it.
All right, let's get into our next segment. Run that back. This is another week, man, where you just pick better picks than me. I mean, it happens every week. Hey, and anybody who listens to us, just know, like I said last week, I am the upset king. I will purposely pick upsets, not because I'm trying to get views or anything. I really, in my gut, feel like these upsets will happen. Like I always feel like I know, and I don't. So I am 7-7, and Mitchell is 9-5. And some notable upsets that I called, I think I only got one right. And it wasn't, I don't even know if it was necessarily an upset. It was a really good game of the week. It was Steelers versus Commanders. And I had come up with a point of, I think that Mike Tomlin outcoaches Dan Quinn. And it didn't seem like an outcoaching necessarily, but I did call that game. I did think the Steelers were going to win it. And I think Russell Wilson, believe it or not, and this can go to my overreaction, but I really do think Russell Wilson is playing some good ball for the Steelers.
No, he is. And that was one of my just gut feeling picks. Look, when you're dealing with two teams with good records like the Steelers and Commanders both had coming into this one, you can't. Last week I said you got to pick a vanilla if you're trying to have a good picks record by the end of the week. But there are certain games that there is no vanilla choice, and you really just have to go with your gut. And I was just feeling in my gut, as much as it pained me to pick the Steelers, that is just what I was feeling, and it did come to fruition. Now, I can tell you I was sweating it out because if you watch the last 3 minutes of that game, they were down for most of it until I want to say like somewhere right around the final minute. I wouldn't call it a Hail Mary toss to Mike Williams, but a very high and deep pass to Mike Williams that just lands right in his bucket, man, and they score a touchdown on it to take the lead.
Good for Mike. Good for Mike, man.
Good for Mike coming over from New York. First game with the Steelers, catches the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, that's a cool story, man. He wasn't being utilized over in New York, and then comes over to the Steelers. And again, one game, I don't want to overreact. Just like we're not going to overreact that Deontay Johnson didn't get a whole lot of snaps. Mike Williams comes in, and I've always known, like with the Chargers, I liked Mike Williams. I had him in fantasy a couple years ago. Great player, despite the injuries. And for him to come to the Steelers and catch that game winner, I think already he just has a different swagger about him. Like, I think he likes his team. I think this is a good fit for him too. Him and George Pickens, that's a good team. I think I'm happy for the guy.
I also picked the 49ers over the Bucs. I did pick that again, just a gut feeling, not a hater, just a gut feeling. And it did come to fruition. Some of our worst takes that we had this week, you picked the Cowboys over the Eagles.
Well, I didn't know the stadium was built in such a way where they don't have blinds and the players don't wear visors. And CeeDee Lamb would literally be blinded like the weekend by the lights and not see the touchdown pass hitting him right in the hands. Would that have made a difference? Absolutely not.
Man,
but yeah, I don't know why I thought that.
Quit making excuses, man. That's a bad look if you're CeeDee Lamb. It's an excuse. Dude, play the game better.
Did you see the angle?
I'm not just, of course.
Nobody could have caught a pass from that. The light was right in his eyes.
Did that one pass, was that consequential to the outcome of the game? It was not.
Absolutely not. No.
Play a better game. And I'm not talking just to CeeDee Lamb. I'm talking to the whole team. Like, Quit worrying about the excuses you're going to make as to why you lost and play better.
Fun fact about that game
Go for it.
is I picked Philadelphia in my pick'ems. Like, I literally was like, I think I had a change of heart moment like on Sunday. I was like, there's no way Dallas wins this game. What am I thinking? I went and picked Philly. I'm glad I did it for that.
Yeah, but for the record here on the pod, it is what it is. We both had the Giants beating the Panthers in Germany. Bad take, man. I don't know why I keep getting behind New York.
It wasn't even getting behind New York. It was just not getting behind the Panthers. Like that the stink fest of the week. And
so true.
I'm not even mad I got that one wrong. I don't even like that game didn't even matter to me. So
yeah. Hey, the Germans got a good one though. That was a good game.
Yeah, they did.
You're 0-2 in predicting Doug Peterson getting fired so far this year.
Is the week.
Who do they got this week?
No way.
Who do they got?
I'll tell you right now.
We'll get to that later. When we go through our picks. We'll get to Jacksonville's week 11
You're right.
matchup.
Oh no, they play the Lions.
Oh, L. And again, he gets fired. All right. Let's move on to quite possibly our favorite segment that we do. Still looking for a name for this. It's our Overreactions segment. If you have any clever names, hit us up at Boys Talking Ball on Instagram, at BTB Football Pod on Twitter, or you can email us. Can you believe that? We have a Google account now.
Man, look at us.
Email us at boystalkingball@gmail.com and let us know what we should call this segment. We don't have any good thoughts or ideas around it. So right now we're just going to call it the Overreactions segment. Name TBD. Let me give you my first overreaction. Now, for the record, I wrote this down last week and I didn't say it because we ran out of time. I didn't share this, but I wish I had, because now this week it's even more realistic. And that is, my first overreaction is that Caleb Williams is a bust.
It's just too early to tell, man. The season isn't even over, and he's a rookie. Have you ever seen Peyton Manning's rookie season highlights or statistics? The dude was awful his first year. And I'm not saying this is the next Peyton Manning, and everybody uses that excuse every time a first-year quarterback has a bad season. Because if you really, you could also use Ben Roethlisberger's. His rookie season was amazing. So you could be like, well, what about his rookie season? I think, personally, it's too hard to tell. I do think you're overreacting. He does suck right now, but the Bears are going to bear. The Bears never have been good.
Bear down.
Bear down. Bear up.
Bear up. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I do think he's got talent. And no, I don't, in my heart of hearts, believe he's going to be a bust. He's a rookie. He's played 9 games. What is it, 9 or 10 games now? I want to say they played 9. They're 4-5. I mean, it's not like they're 0-9. It's not like they haven't won. He's won some games in this league. That offensive line, it doesn't matter who you have behind him, man. That offensive line is not doing him any favors. That bad. I don't know if you saw the clip of him. He's laying on his back on the ground and literally putting up his hand hey, anybody got me. Literally anybody on my team got me. Nobody came and picked this dude up. A defender from New England helped him up off the ground. I don't know what the vibes are there, dude. DJ Moore, unhappy.
No,
obviously.
We talked about that last week.
No, we talked about that play. I'm not even considering that play, but everybody knows he's not happy in that system right now, which is crazy because he just got paid buku bucks. But you've got Keenan Allen, you've got Rome Odunze. They have the weapons, they have the talent, they have the ability. They are not producing the results right now. Is it all on Caleb Williams? Obviously, it's not. It's not just a Caleb Williams problem. There's going to be the rookie roller coaster, right? The ups and downs of a season for a guy that is learning the ins and outs of what it means to play in the NFL and what it's like. So I'm not surprised that he's having games where he looks great and then he's having games where he struggles. That's just the typical journey for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
What's scary, again, is if he can't be protected and this team continues to lose games, is Caleb Williams going to lose the trust of the locker room and the veterans around him? They really need to come together now more than ever because tensions are rising there and the fans are putting pressure on the organization, and rightfully so. They want to see a winner. Is your guy Caleb Williams moving forward? Do they look at one of the backups, Tyson Bagent, to maybe carry the team? Look, if I'm the GM of the Bears or the head coach, I'm keeping Caleb Williams at the helm. That's the decision that we made, and we're going to ride with it for better or for worse. Eberflus did come out today and say that Caleb Williams will remain quarterback one moving forward. Again, I don't
As
see
it
him
should
making,
be.
as it should be, I don't see him making any knee-jerk reactions or moves just based out of emotion. Their season is not over by any means. They can fix this and figure it out, but it starts up front with the line, and they really have some things to get figured out for sure.
I don't know if you saw that clip from Tom Brady at the beginning of the season, but he was talking about rookie quarterbacks and how back in his day, he sounds like such an unk now, but back in his day, a quarterback used to have to sit behind a veteran, no matter how good or bad that veteran was, and
Right,
learn for a year. Now we're just throwing these guys out there and we're making systems and plays and playbooks easy enough for them to learn so that they're able to somewhat thrive in this new style of offense. And he thinks that's a problem. He thinks that's why the new age of quarterbacks is a bit of a problem, and the game has evolved to what it is, and the new fouls and things like that are the way they are because it's playing a part of kind of babying this new. We just want these college kids to come in and play now. I think, part of the NFL is like, hey, we like, this is good content. We want this stuff out there. We want these guys starting. Caleb Williams is kind of a product of that. Had he had gotten a year to sit behind a veteran and learn, and then played next year, he'd probably be a lot better. He's going through all these growing pains in front of our very eyes. I think for his team, it would almost, I would question more the character of his teammates to lose hope in him and to lose trust and respect for him while he's going through these growing pains than anything else. Like, I don't think that if I was on his team and he's young and he's learning and I'm older, I've been on the team for 5 years, I would be mad. I'd be like, dude, I
right,
remember when I was a rookie and like, there's so many things I
right,
messed up, but
right.
because I wasn't Caleb Williams, nobody put me under a microscope. But yeah, you always are going to have divas on the team. And that, for me, that's when I point at the coach. I'm like, dude, you got to make sure your team is bought into this guy and loves on him and trusts him. And even through the good and the bad, they're there for him. That is kind of your job, dude. Like, you
Right.
can't let those seeds of doubt be planted in their minds. And I know we're kind of getting really deep into the psychology of things, but I
Sure.
think that plays a huge part. And like,
I think so too.
that's going to hurt his trust too. Like, he's going to be in his head every play now. Is my O-line going to come pick me up? Do they not believe in me? Man, now I'm
Right.
thinking like,
Right.
there's so many factors, and not to spend too much time on this overreaction, but I agree. Like, Caleb Williams does not look good, and I don't know what's going to happen from here. I wish he would have sat for a year, but of course, everybody wanted to see him play. He was the number one pick.
I don't think you watched Hard Knocks this year. I'll just make this one point and then we'll move
Sure.
on. But there was a clip, you may have seen the clip where Nick Saban is talking to Matt Eberflus, and they're talking about how to care for a young quarterback. And I think it'd be interesting if we would run that clip back and then we could see, is Matt Eberflus, 4 months later or 3 months later or whatever it is, doing these things for his young quarterback to build and maintain his confidence. And of course, we don't get a behind the scenes look, so we're not going to really know how those conversations are going. We only get what comes out through the media, through social media, those kinds of things. And we live in a world
Yeah.
now where it's a win now league. Fans want to win right now. They don't care about next year. They don't care about future prospects and draft picks and all those things, which is unfortunate because I think to build a successful team, the camaraderie aspect, the psychological aspect you're talking about, the equity building, the relationships in the locker room, those things matter, but they take a long time to form. It doesn't just happen overnight. So you're expected to win while doing all those things, and that's hard. Sometimes I don't think it's accomplishable for teams and for players and for head coaches, especially with a young player. It just takes time. This is, in the end, for me, an overreaction. I don't believe that Caleb Williams is a bust. But it's definitely an interesting topic and something to keep your eye on moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Well, onto a different aspect, maybe a little more fun to talk about. I believe Baker Mayfield's stiff arm was the greatest play of the year, not just for the Bucs. I think that was the greatest highlight of the entire NFL season. I don't know. I have so much to say, but I want to hear what you think about it.
There's been some good plays. There's been some good catches this year. There's been one catch this year, and for the life of me, I can't remember who made the catch.
Is Garrett Wilson? You talk about
It was,
the
thank you. It
yeah,
was,
the
yes,
Michael Jordan.
yes, on Thursday night football, I believe it was. Yeah, the Michael Jordan catch in the back of the end zone. I mean, when I think of plays of the year, I immediately thought of that. Now, this play with Baker Mayfield just personifies his character and who he is as an NFL football player. And so I think it's fun because you just watch this and you're like, dang, that's just so Baker right there. Just to stiff arm one of the best defensive ends in the league and throw a pass for a first down to keep your team alive and driving. Wow, what a play. And I don't think it's an overreaction to say that that belongs in the top for sure. Is it the top play? It depends on who you root for. It depends on your opinion,
Yeah.
obviously, but this is not an overreaction. That play belongs either at the top or very close to the top of the plays that we've seen this year. Let's move on to another one that I'm going to bring you here, and that is that the Arizona Cardinals, this is my next overreaction. The Arizona Cardinals will win the NFC East as you frantically pull up the standings for this year.
Well, it's the NFC West.
Excuse me, the NFC West is what I meant. Here's what's interesting about the NFC West right now. The Arizona Cardinals sit at the top of those standings, but the two teams behind them, I wasn't really considering the Seahawks, but they're definitely not out of the race. Not playing great football right now, but obviously there's a lot of season left. So not counting them out, but I'm just looking at those top three teams. This is probably a division where if you'd have looked at this at the beginning of the year, you would have assumed that the Cardinals would finish last in this division, and you wouldn't have thought twice about that, right? So now they sit 6-4 with a 4-game win streak, and they're hot and they're rolling, and the teams behind them were probably teams that more people had finishing at the top of this division, the 49ers, who are also surging and getting healthy. So for the Cardinals, it's definitely not going to be easy, but they are beating quality teams, and they're doing it in impressive fashion. And Kyler Murray is looking like the Pro Bowl quarterback that we had seen him perform like in the past. We're seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. really blossom into a great player down there. They are getting the very best of the guys that they have down there. And I don't know, man. This might be an overreaction. It might not. But I could see this Arizona Cardinals team taking the top spot in the division in the AFC West at the end of the year.
I mean, that's not a bad take whatsoever, dude. It's actually crazy. Like, James Conner is a good running back.
Yeah, I didn't even mention James Conner.
Like, that dude's good. And honestly, every game that Kyler Murray has played like garbage, which there are quite a few. Like, you want to talk about QBRs going in the 60s and stuff. Kyler Murray got a bunch of those. He got a lot of M's. But where he lacks, his team kind of comes around and rallies. And just like the Jared Goff game, man, like they're finding ways to win.
Right.
A cool stat for you to hear, and I don't know if you know this, but they are 2-0 in their own division. Whereas San Francisco's are 1-2 in the division, the Rams are 2-1, and the Seahawks are 0-2 in their division. That is a huge factor when it comes down to, hey, if we win this division, let's say they tie with the 49ers, the Rams, or the Seahawks, they're always going to have that upper hand because right now they're undefeated in their own division. Those games are so important. As we know, we're about to get into some notable matchups today. And those games are some of the most important. They're also treated like some of those teams like Super Bowls. Like, I know when Tampa plays the Saints, we're going to have a tough game. No matter how bad the Saints are going to play us really tough any given Sunday. That's really notable. I don't think that's an overreaction. I actually agree with you on that one. I think the Cardinals can win that division and certainly might.
When I look at Arizona's remaining schedule, obviously a lot is going to depend on how they play their divisional teams. They've got 2 out of the next 3 games against Seattle. And again, like we mentioned, their last 2 games of the year at the Rams, at home against the 49ers. So the division will likely come down to one of those last 2 weeks, right? We could be looking at a game for the AFC West, which would be really cool. But I'm just impressed with the Cardinals. Not a team that I was very high on to begin the season. I'm happy for Kyler Murray, a guy who's really been through it, and they about gave up on him, out there in Arizona. He's really revived his career and looks good, and I'm excited to see what they can do down the stretch here.
I like that. I have one more overreaction. This is my last one. Russell Wilson is back, baby. My 5'11 king is back. And I say this because he's 35 years old. He's been in the league for 13 years. And his stats aren't insane. He's got a late start. But in the games that he's played, he's undefeated with the Steelers. And he's played 3 games. I'll just read you the stats here. I'll let you kind of just revel on it. 50 completions, 85 attempts, 737 yards, 6 tutties, 1 interception, 8 sacks, and QBR is 105.9 in 3 games. And I get it. He played the Jets and the Giants. That's a sure good time to like jump in and be like, all right, I'm going to take over this offense against some weaker teams. Like I think you could agree the Jets look pretty bad right now. But you go and you beat the Jets 37-15. Then you go play the Giants. You beat them 26-18. And then you get a scrappy win over the Commanders, a red hot Commanders, by the way, 28-27. And he just looks good in the offense. And what I think is really notable about his play here is that he is in this offense not required to do what he needed to do in the Broncos offense, which is crazy because the Broncos had a great defense. And you can't just talk about Russell Wilson on the Steelers without talking about what it was like over at the Broncos. It just was not a good fit. And sometimes that's how teams are. Sam Darnold looked terrible with the Panthers. Then he's playing for the Vikings and they're winning games, whether he plays good or not. So it's just like a fit thing. And you could argue Justin Fields looked just as good, right? Like Justin Fields was electric out there. But I think Russell Wilson is your safer veteran option. And I think he's back. He looks good. He's playing good ball. Now, next week, they play the Ravens. This is a battle for the division.
Yes.
Right now, the Steelers are winning the division. They are number one because they are 7-2, and the Ravens are 7-3. In the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers have played 0 division rivals. So this is their first division game. This is their first taste at this is what the Ravens look like. But what a good defense to go up against.
Yeah.
And the Steelers defense looks great, man. This is one of those games where this is kind of like a matchup nightmare for the Ravens. We'll get to that for the notable matchups. But I think Russell Wilson's playing great right now. I like the way he's playing. I'm a Russell Wilson fan. I like the fit here with the Steelers. I think he plays good ball there. As long as he keeps the ball out of the other team's hands, I think they're going to win a lot of games.
I don't hate it. And I don't hate Russell Wilson. I just have such a hard time believing that he is still elite, like the guy that we saw in Seattle. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. This is a tough division. This week is going to be a true test for them. Now, they do have the advantage of playing at home against Baltimore. They also have the advantage of playing against the league's worst pass defense. But we all know Baltimore can score with the best of them.
Yeah.
Can Pittsburgh score enough points? Can that defense do a good enough job on Lamar and company to hold them to, a minimal amount of points? As it pertains to Russell Wilson, I don't know yet. It's not a big enough sample size for me. Too early to tell. It's 3 games in. I don't think that they necessarily made a bad decision in going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. I thought that originally, but the way that Wilson's played, you can't deny, he's playing well in that system. And like you were talking about last week, maybe it is like the perfect head coach quarterback combination of maturity and, gamesmanship and just veteran guys that know how to do it in this league and that both have been around for a long time. Let me ask you this before we move off of this. Russell Wilson, top 10 quarterback?
Absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous.
Absolutely not. I was about to debate you on that, but I actually agree.
Dude, that would have been the craziest twist of this pod is if you were like, Russell Wilson, top 10, here's how I can prove it. I'd be like, you're not winning this one. There's just no way.
All right, let's move on to our next segment. We're calling this top 3. We're going to give our top 3 teams from each conference, somewhat of a power rankings of sort. Give me your top 3 teams from the AFC as it stands right now.
Top 3 AFC teams, just off the bat, I'm not even going to play around. I got the Kansas City Chiefs at 9-0. You can't not put them there. And it's not even like a power ranking. They're just the best team in the AFC. They're just 9-0. You can't even say nothing. I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like them. I think they're top 3 in the AFC.
Wow.
And then, believe it or not, this might rustle some feathers, but I got the Los Angeles Chargers as my 3rd team in the AFC over the Bills, Ravens, Texans.
Please do explain.
All right, here we go.
Oh boy.
The Chargers are 3-1 at home, 3-2 on the road, and 2-1 in their own division. They're 4-2 in their own conference, and they're on a 3-game win streak. Here's the stat that I want the listeners and I want you to pay really close attention to.
I'm listening.
Over the last 5 games, they are 4-1. Now, I know they played your Browns. I know that they've played some questionable matchups, but Justin Herbert looks good. And I'm telling you right now, their defense is really good, top 10 in the league. I could even argue top 5 statistically, but I don't want to get weird with it. I like their defense. And if Justin Herbert stays, dude, J.K. Dobbins looks great. Justin Herbert's looking great. Their team is good. And they're winning games. They're on a 3-game win streak, but 4-1 in their last 5. And dude, they play our division. They're going to be playing the Saints, the Falcons, the Bucs, the Panthers. I'm telling you, that's 4 free wins. I even think it's possible when we get to them in week 15 or 16 that we lose to them because Justin Herbert is going to pass probably for 408,000 yards on our defense. I don't know. I like the Chargers at 3. At 3. And I'm throwing them in there because the Buffalo Bills are a little sus to me, even though they're 5-0 in the last 5. And the Houston Texans, listen, I'm just saying. I had to put the Chiefs in there, though. I had to put the Chiefs in there. If I could wrangle it anyway, it'd be Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Chargers, but I had to put the Chiefs in there. But anyways,
I don't think anybody's spoiler alert, my top team is Kansas City as well. I don't think anybody's arguing that.
Yeah.
When you talk about 2 and 3 though, you're telling me that if the playoffs started today and the first round matchup was the Los Angeles Chargers against the Baltimore Ravens, you would pick the Chargers.
I would take the Chargers winning that game 1,000,000%. I would. And here's why. I think the defense can stop Lamar and Derrick Henry. And I don't think the Ravens defense can stop J.K. Dobbins and Justin Herbert. Genuinely. Okay.
You're talking about these guys like they are burning up the league this year. They're not. This team is 6-3 with some questionable victories.
Let me say this. Genuinely, I'm not trying to clip farm here. I'm really not. I want to exclude the Chiefs from this list just for the sake of, like, I want to talk about the Chargers. Like, yes, if we're really, really deeply going off the top 3, I'm going to go off the literal top 3, which is Chiefs, Bills, and Steelers. I think they're the top 3 teams in the league. But I love the Chargers right now. And I think that they can get there towards the end of the season. I like them better than the Ravens. I like them better than the Texans. And Potentiskis better than the Steelers.
What was that word?
Potentiskis.
Potentiskis. Look, if the playoffs are starting today and the Chargers were going up against the Buffalo Bills, you would take the Chargers.
Yeah.
If the playoffs started today and the Chargers are going up against the Houston Texans, you would take the Chargers.
See, my gut's telling me Texans. I don't know why. You see, the way the Lord works.
Why are they 3 for you then? And the Texans aren't?
No. Realistically,
I think it's wild that you would place them ahead of Buffalo and Baltimore. Those 2 teams right there are powerhouse franchises in the league, and I don't see the Chargers as that. Now, anybody that's listened to the first couple episodes of this pod knows how I feel about the Chargers. Meh is the word that comes to mind and the one that I've been using. Look, they're good. I don't think that they're top 3 good. That's wild to me, personally. But look, it's your top 3, so do what you want. I'm going to put the Chiefs at number 1, 9-0. You can't deny it. It is what it is, right? We don't have the ability to argue a perfect undefeated record. After that is when it gets interesting, and there are a few teams I think that could take that number 2 spot. To me, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not in the conversation for top 3 teams in the AFC. I don't even think they're top 3. And that's just me personally. I don't think that they are efficient enough on offense. Now, they have a stellar defense, but it can be scored on, as we saw on Sunday. So, when I look at teams like Buffalo and Baltimore who have such immense offensive firepower, I cannot put the Steelers ahead of them. So for me and for my AFC list, and I think
for my household,
as for me and my household, we will serve this top 3 right here: Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
I think we both know that you are, when you've got the best picks, you're always correct in that regard. I like to take chances. I like betting on some underdogs. I think your picks are smarter and safer, and I'm not even going to disagree with your top 3. But I'm believing for my top 3. That's the difference. I have faith in my top 3.
But I don't even put the Chargers ahead of the Steelers or the Texans. In my opinion, the Chargers could sit at 6 in the AFC, in my humble opinion. And if you gave me Chargers versus Broncos first round of the playoffs, let's just say hypothetically, I might pick Denver because of the defense. So I don't know. Chargers to me are not it, but we'll see. The further on in the season we go, this could change. This could morph. But for now, if I'm picking the top 3 teams in the conference, that's who I feel good about. Let's hop over to the NFC. This one is where it gets interesting because I think the NFC has a lot more competitive teams at the top to the middle of that conference than the AFC does. It's much deeper. I'll go first this time, and then you can kind of react and give us yours. I'm going to go with Detroit at 1. I don't know how you feel about Detroit. I know how I feel about Detroit, and I think they absolutely belong at number 1 in the conference at 8-1. The record doesn't lie, and it's the most important stat in football. After that is when it gets interesting. You've got the Eagles. You've got Washington, Minnesota. I'm not a believer in Green Bay. Don't believe much in Green Bay. You've got the surging
Really?
Cardinals at 6-4. For me, and again, this is going into week 11 predictions here, and this can morph and change as the season goes on. But for me, the second best team in the NFC is the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, I watched the entirety of that game versus the Cowboys, mainly because I had no choice. It was literally the only game on TV. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have watched it, but I did. And that offense is good, man. I know firsthand the Browns played them a few weeks back, and then I got to see them again against the Cowboys. They're not super flashy. They just get the job done, and they do it consistently week after week. This week is going to be a telling week. Thursday Night Football, man. Grab your popcorn and buckle up.
Dang, bro, you really pronounce them words. Buckle up.
Buckle up. Eagles at Commanders on Thursday night. That's going to be a good one for two teams at the top of the conference. But I like the Eagles as the second best team in the NFC. And then rounding out my top 3, I think everybody would kind of go Washington here as the popular pick. And I'm going to do that as well.
You're not going to go with the team you think is going to win the division, Arizona Cardinals?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I want to wait a little bit on the Cardinals. They're probably at 4 for me, to be honest. I like them better than I like the Vikings, better than I like the Packers, but I don't like them better than Washington. Yes, the Commanders lost to the Steelers this past week at home, but it was still a very competitive football game. They still scored a lot of points, and Jaden Daniels as a rookie is just only going to continue to learn and get better. So give me the Commanders in that number 3 spot. What does your top 3 look like in the NFC?
Yeah. Mine might not be too different from yours, but there might be. I mean, our number 1, I think we're both going to agree on. It's the Detroit Lions. I can argue no longer. The Detroit Lions are good, bro. They're a good team, and they're winning 6-1 in their conference, 2-0 in the AFC. And the Eagles have a similar stat. They're 3-0 in the AFC. I got the Detroit Lions number 1. Here's where I'm gonna kind of switch it up with you, though. I don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think them beating the Cowboys says nothing. Tampa beat the Eagles earlier this year, and they looked awful. I think the common theme with the 2 top teams up there is they both lost to us. Yet here we are lowly down here at 4-6. I will say I don't believe in the Eagles. I love Saquon, and I think Saquon has found an absolute home here in Philadelphia. But I'm not a Jalen Hurts believer. I think he makes far too many errors and mistakes. I don't think he's very good. So I'm not going to put Philly there. I'm actually going to put in my second spot, I'm putting the Green Bay Packers. And I know that you don't think the Green Bay Packers are that good, but here's where I'll challenge your thinking in that the Packers are kind of a out of sight, out of mind type of team because last week they didn't play. Had the Packers played last week and put up 40 points or something, you'd probably be looking at this week a lot different. Like, dang, dude, the Packers showed up. Now I'm thinking about maybe they're really good. They had a bye week. So anytime a team has a bye week, I've seen power rankings where after a bye week, a team loses a rank. I'm like, how? They didn't even play, bro. But that's just how sometimes analysts think. Like we see the hype from the weekend and we go, oh shoot, Packers didn't even play. I don't know. They're not that good. And before their bye week, they did lose. But I like the Packers. And I think Josh Jacobs looks good in that offense. He's very consistent. I think Jordan Love is really good. I like him he's one of my top 10 QBs. I think he's really good. I like Jordan Love. He's one of those QBs who sat behind a veteran, learned. Now he's playing in the offense. I think he's good. I like the coaching in Green Bay. That's my second one. My third one.
Hang on real quick before you move on. Just a quick take for me on the Packers. And this is why I'm not high on them. I'm looking at Jordan Love statistics this season. I know he's battled injury, missed a couple weeks earlier on in the year. He's got an 88.2 QBR for the season, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 1,800 yards. It's not bad. It's not second best in the NFC, though, in my opinion. And especially when you look at the last couple weeks. You mentioned the game against the Lions. They lost by 10, I believe. He goes for 273, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 69.7 rating. The week before that, against Jacksonville, 196 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 73.3 rating. They do come out with a win in that one just by a field goal over the lowly Jaguars. And it's a long season and he could turn this around. But until I see more consistent play from Jordan Love, I don't feel good about putting the Packers at number 2 in the conference. But that's just me.
Let me run this by you. Episode 1, most important position in football is what?
The quarterback.
Okay, I'm going to list these quarterbacks, and I want you to genuinely let me know who's playing better in your opinion. Okay, Kyler Murray or Jordan
Like,
Love?
so these quarterbacks you're about to say, I'm putting them up against Jordan Love.
Yes, you're putting them
Okay.
up against Jordan Love. Like, who would you rather have on your team, Kyler Murray or Jordan Love?
That's tough. Right now, probably Kyler Murray, but overall, like if I'm starting the season with one of these guys, I would pick Jordan Love.
Right. I think statistically, like you said, to your point, like he has been injured, the stats don't look that great. Kyler Murray hasn't looked that great this season either. You can pull up his stats. He's had some really bad games. Dude, I have him in fantasy. I have Kyler Murray in fantasy.
Well, that doesn't tell the whole tale. I'm looking at Kyler Murray's stats right now. You want to know for the season what he's doing?
Yes.
Trade him to me, bro, because I need a quarterback. I will take this. 69.2 completion percentage, 2,058 yards. And again, this is through 10 weeks. 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a QBR of 100.8.
Right. So the QBR is decently up there.
Dang, that kind of makes me want to change my opinion on Kyler versus Jordan.
I'm telling you, dude, I've watched the games. I've been on the receiving end of his fantasy debuts.
It's not just about fantasy, though.
But hear me out, because
All right.
this point I'm trying to make, I genuinely believe in. I think that Kyler Murray is playing decent, but I think Jordan Love's a better quarterback long haul. I think, yes, like statistically, he's going to have better stats. He's been playing the whole season, and he's also had Marvin Harrison, and Marvin Harrison was injured for a little bit, and he's been making plays with his feet, and they have a better record. Actually, no, they have a worse record. They're 6-4, and the Packers are 6-3. But genuinely, I like Jordan Love above Kyler Murray.
That's fine. Keep going. Who are some of your others?
I like Jordan Love above Kirk Cousins. I think he's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
Agree.
And I think he's I think he's better than Sam Darnold. I'd rather have Jordan Love than Sam Darnold.
Agree.
And I personally think Jaden Daniels is more talented than Jordan Love. And I think in the long haul, Jaden Daniels will be better and is better currently at this season. But I think Jordan Love is the veteran there. Like Jordan Love is the more accomplished quarterback. Who do I want in the playoffs? Who do I want in a deep playoff run? Potentially a Super Bowl game? I'd want Jordan Love. So when I look at all these teams that are technically above them, record-wise, overall, I like Jordan Love as a quarterback. So based off of who I like at quarterback and who I think is better, do I think Jordan Love's better than Jalen Hurts? Now you're getting in a territory where it's like, I just don't like Jalen Hurts that much. I don't think he's that good. But you could argue Jalen Hurts is better.
I would take Jalen Hurts over Jordan Love in a big playoff game.
And I'm not even going to argue. I think a lot of people would. I personally like Jordan Love. That's why Green Bay Packers are my second. My third, it's going to be simple. For my third, I definitely got the Arizona Cardinals. I don't like Philly. I've told you that. I don't think they're going to end this season. They're 5-0 in their last 5. They're 7-2. I don't think they end the season as good as we think they may. I actually genuinely have Detroit, Packers, and then Arizona. I agreed with your take earlier. I think Arizona wins the division, and that's my top 3.
So, oh man, okay. So you would put Green Bay and Arizona over Philadelphia?
I would. I do not believe in the Eagles.
Why not though? Because I'm looking at their win-loss record, 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a 5-game win streak. 3-1 at home, 4-1 on the road. Like what's there not to believe in there?
I think their secondary is I think Darius Slay is a little old. I think Gardner Johnson can't back up what he talks. I think they have a really good O-line. I think they have a great running back in Saquon. I think A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are great wide receivers. I think Jalen Hurts is playing good football. I don't see, it's kind of like the Ravens. I see their offense being very electric, but I don't know if their defense is going to be able to hold on much longer. I don't know what the strength of schedule looks like for them, but I don't believe in the Eagles.
You like Green Bay and Arizona over Washington?
I do. I think they're the more accomplished teams. I think they will rally towards the end of the year. Listen, I like the storyline that Jaden Daniels wins Rookie of the Year. I think he will. But dude, there's no way, and I could be completely wrong with this take. This is a rookie quarterback. This is a young team. Are they going to go 14-3? I don't think so. I think they're going to lose some really close games. I think they beat the Eagles next week. I think they go to 8-3 and the Eagles fall to 7-3. But I don't think that long term that they're just going to like win all these games because Jaden Daniels is so good. I don't know.
All right. I hear you.
You
So
disagree
that's
though.
your I don't necessarily agree, but again, there's a lot of season left and we'll have to just see how it plays out. Those are our top 3 from each conference. We'll clip this and put it on our social media. I'd love to hear from the listeners.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you agree with? What don't you agree with? As far as the top 3 are concerned in each conference, but it's an interesting conversation and definitely something to watch as we move forward. Let's get into our week 11 picks. We've got 3 notable matchups on the schedule that we're going to talk through in detail. And then just like last week, we will go through the rest of our picks for the NFL slate and see how we do.
Hit me with the first one.
Yeah, that first matchup, we kind of mentioned it a minute ago, but you've got the Commanders at 7-3 going into Philadelphia to face the 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles. What's your pick there?
I got Commanders. Again, this is a notable matchup, so we can spend a little bit of time on this. I know I just spent our last segment saying I don't think Jaden Daniels can win that many games. But like I said, I'm not a believer in the Eagles, and I don't think they
No,
have
you're not.
I don't think they have defensive star power that can withstand the Commanders' arsenal on offense. And I think the Commanders do have a good enough defense to maybe stop the Eagles. So I actually have the Commanders winning this one. Plus, they're coming off a 1-point loss. That's heartbreaking. So they're fired up. They got a chip on their shoulder, and the Eagles are 5-0 in their last 5 games. So they might be coming in this maybe a little arrogant, a little cocky, and I think maybe the Commanders kind of punch them in the mouth and remind them what the NFC looks like and kind of take them off their high horse.
I feel like this is the point in the season where we start to see the rookie dip a little bit for Jaden Daniels. And just as we were talking about with Caleb Williams, the ups and the downs of an NFL season for a young player in their first year at the helm of a football team, it's not all going to be great, right? And so while I like the Commanders and I like what Jaden Daniels can do and I like what he brings to the table, and I like that team in general, they're just fun to watch, man. I do think that the Eagles at home in Philadelphia, in that ruckus environment that is Philadelphia and their fan base, man, they are wild. I'll have to tell a story another time on the pod about the time that I went to Philadelphia as a fan of the Browns. The Browns were opening the season against the Eagles in Philadelphia. I bought a plane ticket for one person, myself. I went to Philadelphia, hung out, walked around the city, ate some cheesesteak, went up to the Rocky statue, boxed it, whatever. I did all the things. I ran the stairs, did all the things, right, in Philadelphia. Had a great time. I was head to toe Browns gear walking into the stadium for this game on Sunday, dude. And I have never been cursed at more in my entire life. In a 1-hour span from the
You
time
didn't
I
do
showed up
anything
to that
wrong?
stadium to the time the game started. I didn't do anything wrong. I was wearing gear of the team that I root for and walking into an NFL stadium to watch the team that I root for play.
Should have known
What did I
better.
do wrong? Mama, tell you what, man, they let me have it. And of course, the Browns went out. I want to say we lost like 30-0. It was really bad. That was the year that we started Robert Griffin. Needless to say, it was
That's
rough. No shots taken at RG3. That wasn't the year for the Browns. Anyway, it was a fun experience until the game was actually played. But all that to say, I know what that environment is like firsthand.
Sure.
And for an opposing team, it can be tough. The Washington Commanders are a young team playing well this year, but I think they go into that environment of Philadelphia and they take an L. Give me the Eagles to win that one. Our second notable matchup of the week comes on Sunday in the 1:00 slate. It's the 7-3 Ravens at the 7-2 Steelers, a battle for the top of the AFC North. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it goes without saying every game for here on out in the season is kind of a must win. I think every team thinks every game's a must win. Like there's no team that looks at their schedule and go, yeah, we can lose this one. But
Yeah.
this game particularly is a huge game for both teams. And, I was talking about Russell Wilson earlier, and I think he's playing really good. And I think he's doing exactly what he needs in that offense to win games. I like their team. But the Ravens are hot, man. And they scraped a win out against the Bengals last week. And they've had extra time to rest as well. They've had more days than the Steelers to rest and prepare. This is an interesting matchup for me. And I've been struggling with who I think is going to win for quite a bit. I'm going to take Steelers. I think the Steelers go to 8-2. The Ravens fall to 7-4.
Wow.
I'm not like, you know, as I could tell, I'm like on the fence about it. I got the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it. I don't like that I'm picking the Steelers, but I think the Steelers have a better defense, and I'm going to pick the defensive team in this game to win it. I will say if the Ravens get hot quick and they score and they kind of outwit and outsmart this defense and get ahead, I don't know if the Steelers have the offensive star power for Russell Wilson
Right.
just to try and ball out and try to win this game. Now, does Russell Wilson have a couple insane games left in him? I think he does. And if it's a defense to do it against, it's the Ravens. But at the end of the day, my take will be the Steelers unless the Ravens just absolutely, and I'm not going to say next week, hey, asterisk, I said if the Ravens got a quick start. I will take the Steelers confidently, but man, this is going to be a heck of a game.
It should be. It should be a really good game. I know firsthand, anytime you get two AFC North teams going up against one another, it's likely not going to be a blowout. Obviously, we've seen outliers here and there in certain games, but this division for some reason just beats each other up when they play. It's always physical. It's a tough brand of football. It's interesting to me, the spread on this one right now is -3 in favor of Baltimore. That's kind of the way that I'm leaning, solely because I don't trust in the Steelers' ability to score points, kind of like what you were saying. We've seen them win a lot of ugly, low-scoring games this year against average to above average teams. Again, I'm not knocking whether or not the Steelers are good. They're obviously good, and their record shows that. But I think when you consider this head-to-head matchup, you have to consider all the factors that we already talked about earlier with Baltimore and how high-powered that offense is. Yes, they have a defense that struggles in the past, but you're not looking at the Steelers as like this incredible passing attack, right? And if anything, they don't want to beat you that way. They want to beat you on the ground. They want to make the game muddy. They want to beat you defensively. So the weakness of the Ravens here isn't as glaring this particular week when you look at this matchup. So I like the Ravens to score a lot of points, and I like them to cover that spread. And I know we don't pick the spread, but that means that I like the Ravens to take this one over the Steelers.
So do you think the Steelers are going to be like pushovers this weekend?
No, I don't. I don't think the Steelers are ever a pushover. Just because of their brand of football, the way they play, the way they're coached, as you have pointed out in the past, they're not a team that lays down.
Yeah.
And I don't think they will, especially not in a game in the AFC North that will give the winner sole possession of the top spot in that division. So I don't think that they're going to be a pushover. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I see it as being close, but I just see Baltimore as the team with the ability to score points at a greater clip than I do Pittsburgh. And because of that, I trust the Ravens on the road. Let's move to our final notable matchup of the week. You've got the undefeated Chiefs at 9-0 going into Buffalo to face the 8-2 Bills. What do you think about this one?
Do the Chiefs go 10-0? I mean, are they winning this? Like, here's
I
what
don't
I
know.
think. I got a really crazy take for this game, and I
Right.
might make some people mad, and I might blow your mind with this take. I might even blow my own mind making this take.
Okay.
Here's what I think can happen, and then I'll go into my pick. If the Bills win this game and go 9-2, and the Chiefs fall 9-1, I think, here's my take, the Chiefs spiral out of control and lose
Wow.
like 4 or 5 games after that. Just absolute weird downfall of humanity if they lose this game. If they lose this game, I feel like something bad happens. The black magic wears off. The witch hunt they have going on in the locker room falls apart. And quite literally, the Chiefs go from 9-0 to 9-6 or some crap like that. Something crazy, right? This is what I think happens if they lose. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. Okay, I think the Chiefs go to Buffalo and they win, and they go to 10-0. I think the Bills lose. They go 8-3. I don't know what's happening over there in Kansas City. There's somebody praying the Pope. I don't know what's going on. Something is happening, and I like the Bills. I think they're great. But I do not think that they can beat the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs are just figuring out ways to win. If the Chiefs lose, quote me, something they gonna spiral and everybody will start beating them.
All right, I'm quoting you because I want to follow this over the course of the next month or two to see how confident you are in this prediction. And here's why. You probably make this prediction just off of a gut feeling. Hey, this is going to be what
Yeah.
happens to this team if they go to Buffalo and fall. I wonder if you'll change that prediction, though, once I read to you the Chiefs' next 5 games, okay? I'm just going to read to you who they play after Buffalo for the next 5 weeks. I will give you one opportunity to change your theory here, okay? After this week's game against the Bills, you have the Chiefs going to Carolina to face the
Hell.
Panthers. Then they're at home against the Raiders. Then they're at home again to face the Chargers. Then they're in Cleveland to face the Browns. And finally at home against the Texans.
What is that schedule? I need to talk to Roger Goodell. That is the softest schedule I've ever heard in my life.
Well, they've played some pretty decent teams up to this point, so I don't know that you could just say that they have a soft schedule based off of that alone. But no, look, I mean, I like this is a tough one. This is a tough one. It's a matter of what we were talking about earlier. Will the Chiefs go undefeated? Do we think they will? And my initial answer to you was what? It was no, I don't think they will. Give me the Bills in this one. Could this be the first time? I'm sure it's not the first time, but I bet you it doesn't happen often where an undefeated team is not favored on the road. They go into this game with the Bills as 2.5-point favorites at home over the undefeated Chiefs. It's an interesting stat line to me. And if I was picking that, I mean, that's tough. That tells me that Vegas believes this game is going to be really close, but they give the edge to Buffalo because, I don't know, for whatever reason, because of home field advantage maybe. Look, if the Bills are able to get healthy over this next week, get Amari Cooper back on the field, get Keon Coleman back. They've been winning in spite of not having these guys, which is insane. But that just, to me, is testament to how good Josh Allen really is.
Yeah.
And so I'm a Josh Allen guy. I think he can carry this team far. He's proven that they offloaded some weapons this year. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. You know, they cut bait on some guys this year, and they're still cranking out wins. And so it's all about the quarterback, man. They've got a good one in Buffalo. Yes, Kansas City is feisty. I think this is going to be close. It's not going to be any sort of blowout, but give me the Bills at home. Cool. Let's move on let's hit some of these games kind of rapid fire, the rest of the slate. So these are our 60 seconds or less takes on each of these games. The first one, my Cleveland Browns in New Orleans to face the New Orleans Saints.
Give me the Browns.
I told you I have no hope for this team. I told you I don't get excited that much anymore. I told you we don't have a quarterback. I told you a lot of things. I'm taking the Browns.
Heck yeah, brother.
I'm taking the Browns. Let's go. Get a W in New Orleans, baby.
It's Jameis versus old team. And I hate saying that because I feel like personally, I forget the Saints era. Like it was Buccaneers Jameis. But like, you know, Jameis is starting against the Saints and the Saints don't look good right now. And I know they just beat the Falcons, but I mean, that's not saying much. I think the Browns win too. And I like Jameis having a decent game against the Saints.
Give me the Browns, baby.
The Browns.
Moving on. Green Bay Packers, 6-point favorites in Chicago.
Caleb Williams, a bust. Give me the Packers.
Wow. Packers all the way. Give me the Packers. The Indianapolis Colts travel to New York to take on the New York Jets.
This is going to be a crazy one, but I got the Jets winning this.
Yeah. Flacco just ain't it anymore, man.
Looking
I don't know
old,
what happened.
looking bad. I mean, JT looks great. I just see the Jets winning this one. I think Aaron Rodgers, again, tale of two QBs. I think Aaron Rodgers is right now a better quarterback than Joe Flacco. It's crazy that that's even a thought.
The question is, can the Jets salvage the season? They've got seemingly the pieces in place to do it, but they're 3-7 right now. This is a must win for the Jets. If this was being played in Indianapolis, I would go with the Colts at home, but I got to take the Jets one more time, man. They failed me last week.
One more time.
I'm going to take them one more time here. Give me the Jets to beat the Colts. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars in Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. Let's say it at the same time. We both have Detroit. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Doug Peterson getting fired, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Week. That's the side note prediction from Bryce. We'll see if it happens. The Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Miami to take on the Miami Dolphins.
The Raiders suck. Give me Dolphins.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins at home in that one. The Los Angeles Rams going to New England to face the Patriots. Give me Rams.
Give me the Rams, full health, and expect Ramondre Stevenson to have a decent game, but not enough for them to win. So, yeah, Rams.
The Minnesota Vikings against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee.
I got the Vikings. You know, they scraped a win out last week or last Sunday. And I think they beat the Titans here. I don't think the Titans have enough to beat this team.
My general strategy when picking games is pick vanilla. We've talked about it a little bit as of late. Every once in a while, you got to take a chance. Likely, it's not going to go the way you think it is in every single game, right? The favored team is not always going to win. I'm not high on the Vikings.
I know you're not.
Man, this is crazy because Tennessee's at 2-8 right now, I think.
If you take the Titans, I'm hopping off right now. There's no way. All right, if it's a Jacoby Brissett start.
Give me the Vikings. The Falcons in Denver to play the Broncos. I'll take Denver in this one. Give me that defense and Bo Nix at elevation. By that I mean height, not the church.
I get what you're saying. And
Thank
I also
you.
got the Broncos. Yeah, that's just I think the Broncos win, period.
Great take.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks in San Francisco to face the healthier and healthier San Francisco 49ers.
Dude, this is actually low-key a kind of a key matchup.
It's a good one.
Because these two teams are huge and
in the
we only got
division.
60 seconds to talk about them. So what I will say is I have the 49ers winning, but that is no game to just like look over quickly. Like that's going to be a hard fought one.
So you're taking the 49ers. I like the 49ers as well. It's crazy to me that they have the 49ers favored by 6.5. And over the course of this week, that could change by game time. That seems like a big number to me. If I'm a betting man, I might take that spread and go Seattle. Since we're not picking the spread, give me the 49ers as they continue to get healthier. You got a CMC that they're going to roll out even more and more with each coming week. I like the 49ers to beat the Seahawks at home. The Cincinnati Bengals on the road to face the Los Angeles Chargers. In your opinion, the third best team in the AFC, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Give me a statement game. I think Chargers win.
What happened to legacy game, Jamar Chase?
Oh, Jamar Chase will eat. And I'm not even going to – I don't want to even get you started. So Jamar Chase will have a decent game. A legacy game. And the Chargers will win. Again, I don't really know if the Bengals have what it takes to beat where the Chargers are kind of rolling right now.
I want the Bengals on the road. Give me the Bengals, Joe Burr and squad to come up with a big road win against a conference opponent.
Wrong.
We'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong. Finally, for our picks, we've got the Monday Nighter. The Houston Texans headed across the state of Texas to face the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football.
Give me the Texans, man.
Give me the Texans to roll the Cowboys. This won't even be close.
You forgot about one game, though, this week.
What did I forget?
You have the bye week versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, really banged up team. There's a good chance we lose that one. Give me the bye week.
I know from firsthand experience this past week, the bye week is a tough team to beat, brother. Some good talent over there. This has been a fun episode of the pod. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy listening. We want to hear your feedback. Hit us up at Boys Talking Ball on Instagram, at BTB Football Pod on Twitter. And you can send us an email now, boystalkingball@gmail.com. We just want to hear from you.
We also got a TikTok now. Same as Instagram, Boys Talking Ball on TikTok. Things are popping off over there as well. So
you know you're in when you've got a TikTok account, dude. I don't know the first thing about TikTok, to be honest.
Maybe one of these days I'll teach you a little bit about TikTok.
All right. Sounds good. Until then, this has been fun. We look forward to this week's games. We look forward to seeing how our picks play out. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Boys Talking Ball. Peace.